From car accident to payout, what's the injury claim settlement process in Louisiana?
So if you've been in a car accident or any kind of accident, the first thing that's going to happen in your mind is you're going to say, well, what do I do? And that's where we come in. The insurance company, whether it's your insurance company or the other driver's insurance company, they've been down this road millions of times, collectively as a big company, or maybe even the individual adjuster that you're working with. You've not. You're already up against somebody with more information, more experience than you have. That's why it's good to hire a lawyer like us who knows how the whole process works. But for your benefit, we're going to explain from A to Z what the entire claims process is like. And then if God forbid you have to file a lawsuit, what that process is like. So let's go back to the beginning. You get into a car wreck. What are some of the issues? Your car is damaged. Maybe you need a rental. Maybe you just need it repaired. It's drivable, but it needs to be repaired. Okay? That's part of the process, part of what an injury attorney and the firm will help you with. Then you're saying, well, wait a minute, I don't feel so great. What do I do about that? If you have health insurance, certainly you can go to your doctor or your chosen hospital and use your health insurance. But a lot of folks, they don't have insurance that would allow them to go to certain doctors, or they don't feel comfortable using their health insurance. Lawyers like us have relationships with different providers around town that we know will treat people who have been in car wrecks or other types of injury-causing incidents, because some doctors won't. They don't want to be involved. So that's why it's good to reach out to an attorney and see if they have any contacts of physicians or other medical providers that can help you, right? So we've talked about issues with your property damage, issues with you physically. You may also have concerns about missed time from work, lost wages. An injury attorney can perhaps set you up with a company that might give you an advance on your case to hold you over until you can get back to work, because we understand that the bills don't stop, right? Rent comes due, your mortgage comes due, your water bill, your power bill, your cell phone bill. They don't stop just because you were in a wreck, but the wreck might have prevented you from being able to go to work. And you need that income to pay your bills, to feed your kids. We understand that, and we try to set you up so you can live as comfortably as possible under the circumstances. But understand, these cases are not designed to be windfalls. They're designed to make you as whole as possible and to compensate you for what has happened to you. Part of that may be a struggle. That is where the pain and the suffering really does come in. It's not something we want for you, but it is a reality in many, many, many cases. Let's talk about the property damage. Your car gets damaged. Let's say it's not totally destroyed, or what insurance companies call a total loss. The insurance company is going to want to assess the vehicle. Some companies will say, hey, we can do it by a photo analysis. Log into our app. You're going to take some photos, you'll walk around, you'll take a video, and then our appraiser will tell you what they think the damage is. We'll either offer to pay you, or we'll tell you you have to go to a body shop. Depending upon the nature of the crash, that might be sufficient. In many instances, it's not, because what you should be worried about is what's lurking underneath the frame, underneath the hood. Is there something you can't see that only a body shop could see when they looked at the vehicle, went underneath, opened the hood, investigated the engine, maybe took some pieces apart? I wouldn't want to accept a property damage settlement unless I knew that it had been fully investigated. Beyond that, beyond actually fixing the vehicle, if your car has not been in a wreck before, then the fact that you got in one is going to lower the value of your vehicle if you choose to sell it again. We call that the diminished value of your vehicle. Something we do for our clients is we have a variety of different tools to analyze your vehicle and compare what it cost before, what its value was before the wreck and what its value is after. And we take that, we get a report, it's got comparable vehicles, and we'll present that to the insurance company in what's called a diminished value report and a diminished value claim, and say to the insurance company, you need to pay Joe or Mary the amount of the difference, meaning what the car was worth before the wreck versus what it's worth now, because if they go to sell it, they're not going to have that same value. So that's a second part of the property damage claim. When your car is in the shop, the insurance company owes you an obligation to put you in a rental vehicle if that car was your vehicle to go around town, to go to work, to take your kids to soccer practice, whatever. But that responsibility is limited. Meaning, if they tell you that the vehicle's a total loss and they send you a check, you're only going to have that rental vehicle for a short period of time. And then it becomes your obligation to go find a new replacement vehicle. And they're not going to agree to pay for that rental any more than they have to. Similarly, if your car's in the shop, that's the length of time that you're going to have the rental vehicle. The best thing you can do is have rental coverage on your own policy. Because if you go and rely on the other driver's insurance, there will be a period of time, could be a day, could be several days, it could be weeks before they even agree to put you in a rental and your car in the shop. Because they may say to you, we have to investigate liability. And the only way we can investigate who is responsible for the accident is by getting the police report. Well, in Louisiana, in Texas, that can take days, sometimes weeks before the report is actually ready. So you could be without a vehicle for weeks if your car's not drivable and you don't have your own rental coverage. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you put rental coverage on your vehicle. Now, talking about your injuries, if you're hurt, the most important thing is to go get yourself checked out. If you have to go to the ER, go to the ER. If you have to go to an urgent care, go to an urgent care. If you can wait, maybe go to your primary care physician or come to us and we can set you up with an initial provider who can assess what might have happened to you. Physically, mentally, emotionally, you should see somebody to document how the accident, the wreck, has affected you physically, mentally, emotionally. Once you do that, part of your responsibility is to continue to treat for as long as you are injured. If you don't, the insurance company is going to say you're not hurt. Doesn't matter what you say, how you say you feel. If you don't show the insurance company what actually happened to you by going to the doctor and addressing the pain complaints, they're not going to give you credit for it. You know, I think back to when I was a kid and you were doing a math problem in school. The teacher would say, I don't care if you got the right answer. I need you to show your work. That's a lot of what we do with injury claims. We need to show the insurance company, show the other lawyers if we ever get there. This client was hurt, and look what he or she did to try to get better. Look what he or she did to try to lessen the amount of lost wages they had. Look what he or she did to try to get their vehicle fixed or at least assessed as quickly as possible. You know, under the law, you and we have an obligation to try to get you back to where you were before the accident as best we can, as quick as we can. We know that that's not a reality for everybody, and you need the assistance of the other insurance company or maybe the law firm, and that's really what we're here for. You know, our job is to unburden you, is to take all of these new stresses in your life off of your shoulders as much as we can. You didn't ask to get hit by somebody else's vehicle. You didn't ask to fall on someone else's property. Nobody wants to get in these situations. No matter what you see on TV talking about how bad plaintiff lawyers are, or injury lawyers are, or how bad people are that make claims, we know that you didn't ask for this. You don't want to be here, but you are, and you need help, and that's what we're here for. Anytime you think that you can go it alone, I challenge you. Go to the insurance company, get the best offer they'll give you. I just had somebody call me and say, oh, I got into a wreck yesterday. They offered me $1,000 for my injury. They told me they would pay up to $3,000 for my medical bills and less than $1,000 for my car. And I said to them, do you know if you're hurt yet? The accident was yesterday. Do you know if in a day or two or a week or two, your back's not gonna bother you, your neck's not gonna bother you? Have you had your car looked at? Do you know what's going on with the damage? All of that sounds great initially, but these insurance companies, they're not charities. They're not making that offer to you because they want to be Robin Hood and robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. That's not what they're doing. What they're doing is trying to prevent them from having to pay out more money down the road if, what often happens, your injuries start to come to the surface after a couple days, after the adrenaline wears off. Or your car gets looked at by a professional and they say, wait a minute, that hit that you thought only hit your bumper, well, it also affected the sensor in the car. And that sensor is $5,000, not just a $1,000 bumper. There's so many things that can happen with time. There really isn't a rush. In Louisiana, you have 2 years. In Texas, you have 2 years to file an injury lawsuit. So that's 2 years from the day of the wreck until you ever have to go to court, as people say. You have time to see how you're feeling, what happens with your property damage, and decide, hey, is this offer from the insurance company the best offer? Or do I have to file a lawsuit to get what I'm actually entitled to? And that goes back to the point I was making before. If the insurance company wants to make you an offer, go get the best offer. Bring it to us. If we can't do better after we take out our fees, after we pay back all the costs to the medical providers, to any sort of police department to get a police report, if we can't do better, we're gonna tell you, take the offer. That's a fair offer. We're not in the business of making our money at the expense of our clients. That is how we work, meaning we get a portion of what we can collect for you, but our job is to make you as whole as possible and to collect as much as we can for you, because that's how we make our money. It's also how we protect people who otherwise might get taken advantage of by insurance companies, by other companies that insure themselves, because they know more about what has happened than you do, because they've done this once or twice or dozens or hundreds of times. Okay, so don't think that because you got into a wreck that you shouldn't do anything, because you don't want to sue somebody, you don't want to go after somebody. Most people on the road have insurance. They have it for this kind of scenario. They did something, they didn't mean to do it, but they did it. And they are responsible, and they have insurance. And these insurance companies, they don't have their names on big buildings and football stadiums because they're not doing okay. They can afford to pay people like you who got hurt, no fault of their own, what they're entitled to. And it's not gonna blow back on that individual who hit you, so you don't have to feel sorry for them. And frankly, why should you suffer because they made a mistake? They should own up to their mistakes, be responsible, and you should get taken care of in whatever way you have to be. So again, if you find yourself in this situation, we strongly advise hire an attorney, hire this firm. We know what we're doing, we are here to help, and we want to make sure that you get taken care of so you don't get taken advantage of.